Hello, assalamu alaikum to everyone. My name is Ikrim, and I'm a recent graduate from Ralston University with master's degree in software development. I also completed my bachelor's in South Korea, where I lived for 9 years. And I'm originally from Kazakhstan, and I lived there until I was 17. And today, I'm hosting a guest, Maha, who is also a student at Boston University. Assalamu alaikum, Maha. Could you please tell us about yourself, your background?
Everyone, my name is Maha Noor, and I'm a junior here at Boston University. I'm studying biomedical engineering and electrical engineering. I've lived in Massachusetts my whole life, but I was born in New York, but I moved here when I was a baby. My parents immigrated from Pakistan before I was born, so yeah, basically all about me.
As far as I know, Maha is the president of ISBU. So I would like to ask Maha, what is your role at ISBU and what ISBU is exactly and what is its mission?
ISBU, or ISBU as we call it, is the Islamic Society of Boston University. And so our mission is basically just to create a community of Muslims, undergrads, and graduate students here at BU because obviously we're a minority, so it just feels better to be, around people who think like you and pray like you and stuff like that. So to do so, we hold weekly religious events like Quran circles, Surah Kaf circles. Of course, we have Jummah. And then we also have social events. So, we'll have a brother social, a sister social. And then we have big events like our banquet or cultural night or Eid dinner. So, we do a bunch of things just to keep the Muslim community together here at BU.
I've actually participated in one of the iftars last year, and it was really well organized. So thank you so much for that. And the second question is, what kind of challenges do you face as a Muslima or a minority living in the States, and do you face those?
Main challenge I face is just a lack of representation. Not a lot of people in my field look like me. Obviously, engineering is very male dominated and very white dominated too. So, more often than not, I'm the only hijabi in classes, sometimes even the only girl in classes. So, because of that, people don't really understand a lot about me. Like, for example, if I have to go and pray, not a lot of people understand that. And for example, I had an internship last summer and it was just all white men, and it was really only me who was kind of a person of color, a woman, Muslim. So it's just kind of different because they don't really know a lot about our practices, and so they can't accommodate them as well. But because of that, I think if we have more representation or if we just educate people more, we could really overcome that burden.
Um, what kind of stereotypes or misconceptions do you face in your daily life, and what kind of approach are you taking to address them?
Big misconception about Muslim women specifically is that we're really quiet or submissive, which is kind of not really the case. I feel like a lot of the Muslim girls I meet here, they're all leaders in our own sense. Like even our e-board, the president, me, vice president, treasurer, secretary, we're all girls. So we really do hold those high positions of power. And I feel like people don't really expect that from Muslim women. So I think just showing them that, we're not quiet, submissive, we can be leaders, we can be loud, we have voices. That's really big.
And do you think there are some obstacles that might stop hijabis from advancing their careers in the States? And how do you think those hijabi girls are facing these obstacles and how they can approach them to prevent them from advancing in their career?
The main obstacle that we face is really external. Like the hijab isn't stopping me from doing anything, but it really misconstrues other people's ideas of me. So even though I don't feel oppressed by the hijab at all, other people think in a weird way and they think that I do feel that way. So I think the way to overcome that is just for hijabis to be vocal. Even though it's not really our job to educate people, unfortunately we kind of do have to because so many people have this misconception that we're oppressed or that, we can't do anything. So I think just being vocal and showing with your actions more than your words is really important too. So being hardworking, climbing to the top, stuff like that. It'll really show people that hijabis aren't oppressed or anything like that, and nothing is stopping us.
Sounds like an amazing advice. And like asking more about your background and your perception of Islam, do you think that you living in the States has affected your iman or perception of Islam as compared to your parents' generation? Do you like perceive Islam differently than they are? And has your like living in the States shaped your beliefs?
Thanks to that, my parents, they lived in Pakistan their whole lives, so that's a very Muslim majority country. So for them, Islam was the norm. But here in the US, growing up, Islam isn't the norm. So for me, it just meant that I had to hold on to it a bit stronger and keep my faith strong, because I felt that it would be really easy to let go because of the society that we live in. It's not very accommodating to Islam and to Muslims. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, of course, they have days off for Eid and Ramadan and all of that. We don't have that here. So it's a bit hard. Also, like growing up, post 9/11, the conception of Muslims has been very different compared to what my parents grew up with. So because of that, there was a lot of like external, retaliation to my own identity. So because of that, you just kind of felt like you need to hold on to it a bit stronger, almost as an act of, like rebellion. So yeah, because of that, because I live in the US, I feel like I've had to work harder to keep my iman stronger, but my iman in turn makes me stronger for doing that.
That's amazing of you to do that. And the last question, but not the least, what could you advise to Muslim girls living in the States or who are looking forward to move here? Like, what kind of like advices can you give them, or what kind of like I don't know motivation could you give them?
Yeah, I think just knowing that you're just being who you are is such an amazing thing, and you're doing so much. Just even walking down the streets, that's you're representing a whole religion behind you. And for some people, you might be the first face of Islam that they face. So because of that, you have a responsibility, but also a privilege, because how you act and how you show yourself is how people will think of Muslims. And if you do that well, then people will have a good image of Muslims. And I think on top of that, just finding a community is really important. Maybe other hijabis, other Muslims. That's why ISBU is really important to me, because it is the Muslim community here at BU. And it's just really important to have friends who look like you, think like you. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It was an amazing interview, and it was really great to question you and ask about your opinions, about your experience, and your role at ISBU, and like how you shape, how you try to like address those misconceptions about Islam in daily life while living here. Thank you so much for your time. It was nice, mashallah. Thank you.